Awesome. Yeah, thank you all for sharing. So second question, and some of you touched a little bit on this, but this question revolves primarily around that psychological need of belonging. So what do you do at your center? How do you build a sense of staff and student belonging within the culture of your center? What kind of strategies do you use to promote that? We'll kick it off with Melanie.
So I start out by getting to know the strengths of my staff. As some other people have mentioned, it's those casual conversations. It's asking how their weekend was, getting to know their likes and dislikes and their whys, and then putting them in places where they can use those strengths. That is where I started. For instance, I have a parapro who has a great eye for detail and just scenery. And he did some plants in the front of my center that set the tone when you walk in the door. Um, and putting them in those places of their strengths leads to a sense of autonomy and then they start taking a sense of ownership. And once you have staff taking ownership, really cool things start to happen. I have staff members who volunteer to do Midnight Madness overnight. I have staff members who volunteer to continue to come back and work on the landscaping in front of the building. And I've really set the tone that this is our center, not my center. We all have buy-in here. We are all our stakeholders. And so when a problem or a challenge comes up, I consult every single stakeholder. Recent of this was this year I have a much higher center attendance rate with my students, which is great. But our break room, we had to change a lot of practices there. And one of our students actually brought it to my attention. He said that food is running out fast, things are chaotic, what can we do about this? So I turned it back to him and the staff and I said, what do you guys want to do about this? We ended up with a student panel that the students who attend regularly, now they take an inventory of all the food we have. They put it out for the week. They've created some break room norms that they share with other students. They've taken an initiative to clean it. I had a student ask for wipes to clean out the microwave on his own on Friday, which was amazing. So that was really cool. So it's getting all the stakeholders involved. And instead of me coming in and saying, okay, everyone gets one snack a day, I said, what do you guys want to do about this? And that has turned into something really cool. And it's still evolving. There's still a few bumps in the road we're ironing out, but it has worked really well so far. And then another specific in how I do this, a sense of belonging, is a lot of emphasis on our orientations. The orientations are centered on that staff-student relationship. It is the chance for the staff to get to know the students, and for the staff to really show them that this is different than what they're used to. This is a safe place. I do orientations over 3 days. I'm very lucky that in my community, most of our students live close to the center, so that's doable for most of them. In cases where it's not, we make exceptions. It's not a hard and fast rule, but whenever possible, I like to have them here for 3 days, so they really get a chance to get to know every single staff member and to get to see what we're about, to see the positivity that happens here. I have it organized as well that through those orientations, they're rotating through each staff member for different parts of it. So they're getting to know everyone. They're comfortable calling any teacher for help. And that has really led to a strong sense of belongingness. I think that's where that student team I have now came from. If I would have only seen them for a couple hours, those relationships never would have formed, and that chance for ownership may have never happened. And it's really neat to see it develop.
That's phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like you've really created a culture of our, not just my. So that's phenomenal to see. Danielle.
Yes, ma'am. So similar to Melanie, we start same thing for actually we start a little bit ahead. So we kind of start at enrollments. So as soon as students come in, we want to know, like, hey, what brought you here? How'd you hear about us? Why are you looking to go to school and get your education? And then just to kind of give them an overview of our expectations here. And then during orientation, we literally let them know, like, hey, this is what we're doing here. Like, we're serious about education. We have fun, but our goal is to get you graduated. And to do that is going to take, a relationship of everyone involved to get the ball rolling and going. And also to actually come in on those orientations and during those enrollments, just because I feel like it's important for them to know of who I am and the role that I play, and just my background history of like, hey, just because you go through some things and some challenges doesn't mean that you let things get in your way, such as work, school, just some of the things our community may face. It may be challenging, but you can still do it. And all of our teachers do a really good job, not just me, but them too, of telling their personal story, just because a lot of times students can relate to that. So they feel like we're a real person and not just their teacher. And then also too, during that time for enrollments and orientations, it's cool because we get a feel of what students might work well with teachers. So at that time too, and then some students come in and they might have siblings or cousins. They're like, hey, I want so-and-so to be my teacher, which is cool because clearly something about that relationship has worked. And they brought them here, and we want to continue that with moving forward. A couple of things too that we, just to kind of make our students feel a part of our school a lot of times. For example, on December the 5th, we had our Next Steps night, and we had 4 of our students that were there that were like school ambassadors. So they helped us with setup, they helped with breakdown, they were our greeters, and they went in and were good representatives of our school, and they got college information too. So I think that's really cool too. Sort of like a panel per se, but a good representation about to say like, hey, I go here, I want to further and go secondary education, and they're a part of the team. Also too, I feel like what kind of would make them feel, and this is last list, but as part of belonging, is to try to help them take the excuses away. Because I know there's always barriers, right? Like it's virtual school, I'm able to work from home, but hey, like if you want to keep that same mindset and consistency of going to the school, hey, can we get you a bus pass? Hey, what's your work schedule? What days can you be committed to coming into the center? Making them feel like they're not by themselves and they have someone that's walking them through the process with them. So
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
Very
great.
cool.
Thank you for sharing all that, Danielle. And it really sounds like you almost blended the usefulness piece when you're kind of allowing students to have ownership and have those roles as student ambassadors for the school. That's amazing. I mean, you're really bringing everything together, not just the sense of belonging. So that's great. Kelly, what about you?
Well, Danielle and Melanie have said a lot of it, so that's excellent. Basically, you build that relationship based on trust and respect. And during enrollments and orientations, I don't do the enrollments and I don't do the orientations, but I am here with our parapros and teachers when they are doing them, so I get to know the students too. So we all sit and carry on conversations and we get to know them. When students come in the door, you got to say their names. You got to recognize them by their names when they come in. You greet each student. You share your stories about failures and successes. And the thing is, we all have failures here. You turn those failures into a positive. We all have our life stories. And when our students can relate to us, that relationship gets built and that trust and respect just happens. Other than that, we basically schedule meetings to meet their parents and meet them. Other than that, Danielle and Melanie pretty much said it all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Kelly. And Amber, do you have anything to add to that?
No, my 1 and 2 kind of blends together, and you really get to have that belonging piece when you get to know the students. And so if I'm not available for the students during orientation or even while they're in the center, I'll send them a message afterwards and just say, hey, sorry I missed you today. I hope you got your questions answered, or I hope orientation went well. Feel free to reach out to me if you need something, but this is available, as another form of communication, and I'm here for you. And so I always just try to make that more personal for them.
Awesome. That's great, guys. So don't feel bad if you hear a lot of duplication, because that just means there's some consistencies between centers that are doing well. That's exciting. You guys are all, you didn't know it, but you're all doing the same kind of things to engage people, and that's fabulous. So nice job.